Happy Sunday, everybody. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of Extraordinary Women. Now, today's conversation is not about just travel, it's about transformation. It's about asking a real question that more and more Black Americans are starting to whisper and now are boldly acting on. Is it time to leave the United States? With everything happening politically, socially, and historically, many are wondering if there's a better place to live, thrive, and just be without constantly carrying the weight of this country's past. And one place that keeps coming up in conversation is South Africa. Today we're joined by Maria Lloyd, my girl. Okay. Author, international speaker, and chief marketing officer at Black with No Chaser. And she's not just talking about it, y'all. She's creating a pathway for us, okay? Through her upcoming group tour to South Africa, she's giving people the chance to experience something different, something freeing, and something eye-opening. But let's be clear, this isn't about running away. We're not running away, y'all. This is about exploring options and reclaiming our power and asking, what does freedom really looks like for us, okay? So today we're diving deep. We're diving deep. Let's talk about it. Thank you for coming, sis. I'm so happy to have you here on the show again.
Thank you. Yes. I was just about to say my second time on the show. As always, I'm incredibly humbled and thankful to you for allowing me to share the stage with you. So thank you, sis. I really appreciate you. This conversation is very near and dear to my heart. It's one of those
Mhm.
areas of passion for me. So I'm really looking forward to us diving in.
Yeah. And I know it is. I've known you for so many years, Mama Sita.
Mhm.
It's so refreshing to see your growth. I knew you since you was like a
Thank
kid
you.
almost.
No, I
Yeah.
know. No, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Now
you've
looking at you as a grown
definitely.
woman, I'm like,
I know. Listen, it's been like what, 15 years since
yeah.
we've known each other. I mean, it's been a long time. So yeah, you've definitely witnessed me, evolve over these
Mhm.
years. So yeah, as always, I just really appreciate you for your unwavering sisterhood, love, support, all the things. And I hope that you feel the reciprocity,
Hell
because I
yeah.
definitely admire you and am so inspired and have really enjoyed witnessing your evolution as a woman. It's just beautiful to see, mentally, physically, emotionally, watching you evolve through various challenges, triumphs. So yeah, sis, I really, really appreciate this. It's special to me.
Thank you. Don't make me cry at the beginning of the show, girl.
It's okay to cry. It's okay.
All right.
That's proof of life.
Exactly right. Guys, give us a call and ask Maria all your questions. Our phone number is 347-620-6771. Again, 347-620-6771. We're talking about should we leave or should we go? All right. Maria got a upcoming trip to South Africa. Now, I guess you're doing tours now with Black with No Chaser, right?
Yes. So just to scale it back just a little bit, Black with No
Mhm.
Chaser, we are an influencer brand. We reach about 3.5 to 4 million people per month. We
Ooh.
do so through strategic partnerships, authentic storytelling, and curated experiences and communities. And so one of those curated experiences is the Black with No Chaser group tour in South Africa. We just had our first group finish in January of this year. 22 Black Americans total came over to the continent. For many of them, it was their first time on the continent. For all of them, it was their first time in the country of South Africa. And
Mhm.
so we gave them this incredible experience over a 10-day period. We spent half of the time in Johannesburg, the other half was in Cape Town. And yes, of course, we did some of the touristy things. We did the safari. We went to, we did a cultural village tour and things like that. But what really makes this tour special are the curated experiences that we, Black with No Chaser, created just for the tour. And so those two experiences are a traditional African rites of passage ceremony, which was actually
Ooh.
facilitated by His Royal Heritage 𝘾𝙗 𝘾𝙗. His Royal Heritage 𝘾𝙗 𝘾𝙗 was Nelson Mandela's poet laureate. And so he is very much respected in the country. He still is technically revered as a member of parliament. And yeah, he's just a phenomenal man. And then the second curated experience that we created was a networking soiree where we basically paired up our 22 Black Americans with affluent Black South Africans to discuss business, to network, and to converge and just share, resources. And I can honestly say that was probably one of the best networking experiences I've ever attended. I mean, I know I'm biased, obviously, but I'm saying that because the deals that were brokered as a result of that event to this day, in fact, even me, I am benefiting from that event in the sense that a colleague that attended the event ended up introducing me to someone else, and now I have a client here locally as a result of that event, right? So, I'm not the only one. There's several people brokered deals. Even South Africans brokered deals with each other as a result of that event. So when we were selling this tour, I kept telling people the networking alone is worth the money that you'll be investing in this tour, because the people that you're sharing the room with, these are not ordinary people. These are extraordinary people. Just like this podcast is about extraordinary women. These are extraordinary people, right? And so that's part of what we do at Black with No Chaser. So I hope I answered your question. I know it was very long-winded.
You did.
Okay.
You did. Now, I know like you were globe trotting at one point. I saw you in France, and then I know your heart was always in Africa. And at one point, I really thought that you were going to move to France,
Yeah.
So what made you detour from that country and focus strictly on South Africa?
Yeah, there are a number of reasons. I'm going to start with more of the very practical or pragmatic reasons. So number one, I started to really look at the state of the global economy. And if we're being honest with ourselves, the global economy is extremely unpredictable, especially now that we've got this, emerging technology, artificial intelligence, which is expected to wipe out a lot of people's careers. So, and when I started thinking about that, I'm like, I don't think that it makes sense to move to a country where the local currency is worth more than the USD. That doesn't make sense from again, just from a practical standpoint, logical standpoint, doesn't make sense. So that was the first thing. The second thing is I have spent my entire life being a minority. And there's something that is especially special when you actually get to experience life as the majority. And so as I thought about that, even though, when I think of France, and I'll specifically say Paris, because that's where I spend most of my time when I was spending my time in France, Paris is a very diverse city, has a lot of Black people in it. And as a Black American in particular, there is a certain level of access and privilege that other Blacks don't get. Obviously, I don't agree with that. I don't approve it. And I actually intended to, if I did move there, I intended to leverage my privilege to assist my brothers and sisters who aren't so privileged, just to be clear. But then I started thinking when I came to Johannesburg in 2024, which was the same year of the Olympics in Paris. So I didn't go to Paris because I didn't want to be around the Olympic stuff. But when I came to Johannesburg in 2024, I was reminded of how good it feels to be the majority for once. And so that really pushed me to say, this is where I want to be. And then more recently, I feel affirmed in that decision because, again, the global economy is going crazy, but also Ghana courageously brought forth a resolution to the United Nations that basically says slavery was the greatest crime against humanity.
It was.
And every country voted yes in support of this resolution, with the exception of the United States, Israel, and Argentina, who gave a flat out no. And then pretty much all of Europe, France included, abstained from voting. So what that told me was that if you abstained, that was really a no, but you were just too cowardly to say no. And I don't want to be connected with any nation that is not willing to stand up and say, that is correct, this is wrong. It was the greatest crime committed. And we need to recognize that. And so for that reason, like I said, when I saw that France was on the list of countries that abstained from voting, it affirmed for me why it was so important for me to be on the continent. And then last but not least, this is another data point that I think is important to bring up. The West is crumbling. The West is crumbling because the cost of living is becoming unbearable for most people. And folks are not having children. We can't afford to have children.
Right.
And so, whereas in contrast, the continent of Africa is getting younger. People are still having kids.
Yeah.
There's upward mobility on the continent. So again, if I'm thinking long term about the type of lifestyle I envision for myself, and yeah, just again, being the majority for once, for me, South Africa was a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
A lot of Black Americans feel apprehensive on going to Africa. And one of the main things was this. Fine, they'll go to Africa, they'll bring over their resources, their money, their whatever, right? Whatever we get, the
Right.
benefits of Americans here, they'll bring over there, which I'm pretty sure Africa can benefit from, right?
Yep.
But when you go there, you cannot serve in like on political platforms, and
Mm.
you can't really participate in a voting system when you go to these different African countries. What are your thoughts about that?
Well,
Like,
you know,
does
I
it
think
leave
it,
us at a disadvantage to go there knowing that we can't fully incorporate into society? Yes, we can live there. Yes, they have our dollars. We
mhm.
contribute to the economy, but what about politically?
Okay, I see some pros and cons to that. And I will say it really does depend on your status, right? So, like if
Mhm.
you're a permanent resident, can permanent residents vote? You know what? I don't think a permanent resident can vote. But if you're a citizen, obviously, you're going to be able to vote. So
Right.
those of you who are single, for example, and you move to a country like South Africa and you marry a native, it's that's probably the easiest pathway to citizenship here. And so therefore you will be able to vote. To
Yeah.
answer your question, I have always been of the belief that there are more than one way to skin a cat, right? So voting is one way to evoke change. Another way to evoke change is, you've got grassroots movements. And so I think the two work in tandem. I really don't think that we see true change strictly in politics. Even if we look at what's happening around the world in the world of politics, you see a lot of uprisings occurring because politicians are just not, for whatever reason, we're living in an era with some crazy politicians. And it's starting to show in the way that people are rising up and revolutions are starting to pop up all over the world. So, my
Mhm.
point in saying all of this is that I don't look at it as a disadvantage. I don't even look at it as like one being less empowered or anything like that, because voting is just one way to evoke change. And so if you are actively involved in the community, you can still influence the citizens to vote in a way that will affect or benefit you as the immigrant who can't vote. So it's not that you can't still have some sort of political engagement. It's just that, will you be able to go and cast a ballot? No. And I actually don't think that that is a disadvantage. I think that it just is what it is. And there are so many, I've always been of the belief that, there's always a loophole in
Yeah.
every scenario. There are very few scenarios in life that I'm aware of where there is no loophole. Virtually everything has a loophole to it. And so, in my mind, as someone who, to be quite frank, is a contingency voter anyway, I don't look at that as a disadvantage. I just think that, okay, cool. This gives me more freedom to actually influence voting in this particular direction that I think is beneficial to me and the nation at large.
Got you. Got you. What about the notion that Americans, especially Black people, right? We go over to these countries and we colonize them in some instance. We bring over our ways, our customs, and we have to keep in mind that this is a different country. We're not in America anymore, you know?
True.
And also our presence also brings up an uneven economy in a sense, because they know that we're American. They know that, we have the resources to live there because it's below our American means, right?
Yeah.
But it also displaces the people that were already there before we got there, because now they can't afford to live a certain type of way or in a certain
Yeah.
type of neighborhood. So what are your thoughts about that? It's almost like what you call that is gentrification.
Gentrification.
Because basically, essentially, that's what we're doing when we go to these African countries. We're, we don't think about it, but we are gentrifying those countries. Yeah.
That's first of all, if you hear me typing, it's just because I'm actually sharing this discourse on my
Girl, you
social
better do
media. So
your thing. I ain't
I
even worried.
apologize for
Hey,
that.
it's okay.
I didn't even want the viewers to be like, what the hell? Like Yolanda is literally asking this girl a question and she's up here typing. So just so
That's
you
all
all
good,
know,
mama.
I am literally posting on my social media, encouraging people to call in and ask questions.
Yeah.
So, this one's a tricky one. This is one that is frequently brought up in terms of debates in the expatriate community, right? And that's
Yeah.
another debate. Are we expats or are we immigrants? And I choose to say that I'm an immigrant because that's what I am by
Yeah.
definition. So I would say that yes, there is an impact in some ways. Well, let me start because we ended on gentrification, but we started with reference to us bringing that American mindset here, and that is a problem, right? We've
Yeah.
got to basically like release all of that conditioning that we've had for decades. Because that is a problem. It's not America. And I'll tell you, Yolanda, one of the most crazy reminders for me that I wasn't in America is when I was in Canada. I was in Canada working on a project, and my client took me to a very affluent neighborhood in that city. And these were massive homes. So just think this was kind of like the Beverly Hills of that particular city. And as we're driving up the street, two Black people in a Black Denali going every bit of 2 miles an hour. And my anxiety is through the roof. I am literally like stressing, like telling my client, hey, you could drive a little faster. And he was like, but how are you going to take pictures of the houses? It's okay. I'll get them. Right. Because I was so nervous that somebody was going to call the police. And then there would be some kind of negative interaction with police.
Wow. Yeah. You see, that's
And
that
so,
PTSD shit.
no, and it's real. Like, this is real.
PTSD.
Like, this is a real life story. I'm telling you, that stuff is real. So we're driving along. And I kept saying to my client, you got to drive faster. Somebody's going to call the police. And he said to me, no, we don't do things like that around here. It's not like that. And I was like, no, I'm telling you, like, I'm having a whole like low key panic attack thinking that somebody's going to call the cops. And he said, you're not in the US. This is not how it works. He said, even if somebody did call the police, they're not going to do anything but apologize to us for the inconvenience. He was like, this is not the US. And so I heard him, but I didn't hear him, right? So my anxiety is still very high. So we reach a point to the road where it's a fork. You can either go left or right, but straight ahead, there is a home. So stop sign, there's a home right across the street from the stop sign. And again, you can only turn left or right. Well, in the yard was a white man watering his plants. So I'm really freaking out now because I'm like, that guy's going to call the cops. I even told my client, I said it. I said, that guy's going to call the cops. And he just kind of looked at me. He was like, no. So we get to the stop sign. My heart is literally racing. I'm talking about pounding. I'm just knowing this white man is going to say something to us or something. So as I mentioned, he's watering his plants.
Yeah.
He turned around. When we pulled up, he heard the vehicle stop. He stopped watering the plants. He turned around, and Yolanda gave us the most beautiful and enthusiastic wave. And in that moment, all of that anxiety, all of that panic went away. And I said to my client, you're right. We're not in the US. And that's when I realized, okay, this is a problem
Yeah.
because I had no clue I had carried the weight of the oppression that we face. Now, obviously, we talk about the oppression, but we don't talk about how that affects us on a subconscious level.
Correct.
So, where I'm going with this is yes, it's true. There are some Black Americans who, when they leave the United States, they bring the United States with them. They bring the sense of entitlement. They bring the loud speaking. They
Yeah.
bring the rush. Everything is fast. And I think to that end, what I would say is if you are not open to changing, if you're not open to evolving, if you're not open to practicing patience, this is not for you. And I
Yeah.
really don't believe everybody is equipped to leave the United States. Some people are just going to have to stay there. Kind of similar to Harriet Tubman. She had to leave some slaves behind because they would have been too much of a liability to the movement. This
Right.
is the same thing. Some of you all are going to be too much of a liability to the movement. So it's best that you stay put. And the rest of us can go out here and do what we need to do. Now I want to touch on the gentrification piece.
Yes.
So I do believe that we are playing a role in shifting the economic landscape of some of these cities. I'm going to specifically say a city, not the country. However, I will also say that some of that responsibility also lies with the owners of the homes, the properties, the apartment complexes, right? People have to remember, these owners have the ability to say, yeah, we're getting an influx of foreigners coming into our area, but we're not going to increase the price. This is our price, and this price will accommodate foreigners and locals. But they don't, because let's just be honest, supply and demand.
Everybody has a capitalistic mindset. Eventually, when they hear that money, girl,
Exactly.
money talk,
So
people walk.
supply gets high. I'm sorry, I meant to say demand gets high.
Demand gets high, yeah.
And that price is skyrockets. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the owners of these properties have the ability to shift the economy. They have the real impact, but they choose not to. Like you said, everybody has a price. So, I mean, they see an opportunity, they jumping on it. That's just human nature. So to that end, what I would say is this. In my opinion, I don't have the data to back this, so bear with me for those of you who are listening. In my opinion, the impact that Black Americans in particular have on the economic landscape of any city that we choose to move to is very small, in my opinion, right? This is just an opinion. I cannot prove this, but I don't think there are enough of us who are here to really shift the economy in a drastic way. With that being said, let's say that there does become an influx of Black Americans, like 500,000 and above Black Americans relocating to South Africa, and more specifically, Cape Town or Johannesburg. What I would say is that we carry the onus to ensure that we are advocating for locals. So whether that means that we join associations that are supposed to protect the cost of living in that city, we have to play an active role, even though I know that we would be the ones who are driving the issue to an extent. But I also think that we have to play the role of advocate too, in which we are advocating for those people to still be able to afford the place that they call home. So it's very complex. As you can see, I mean, even in my response, I'm sure somebody's listening and saying, what, girl, that don't make no sense. But I think that really highlights the complexity of this conversation, because at the end of the day, as a human being, we are all seeking to live a better life, whatever that means to you, right? And so if my better means I'm moving to a new country and a new city, but then by by doing that, I am now impacting those who've been living there for all their lives. I'm sorry, but we're
Yeah.
all just in pursuit of better, whatever that is for us. So
Yeah.
it's complex.
All right, guys, please give us a call at 347-620-6771. We are talking to Miss Maria Lloyd,
Maria.
CMO of Black with No Chaser. All right. So another question I have for you is this: besides money, right? What
Mm-hmm.
else can we contribute as Black Americans to the people of South Africa besides money and the growth of economy?
I think that we have some knowledge that hasn't quite been tapped into here yet. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't intelligent people in South Africa. In fact, I just read somewhere, I believe the very first successful surgery to eradicate deafness, someone who's hard of hearing, I think that just happened here. It was some kind of groundbreaking surgery. So my point is, I know oftentimes we hear Americans in particular, or people from the West saying, oh, we're going to go over to Africa and we're going to teach those people. But what I mean by that is in a very literal sense. And I just had a conversation with a dear friend of mine who works for local government in Gauteng, which is the province, which is where Johannesburg is situated. He is in senior leadership for the province. So we just had this conversation, and he said to me, with your skills and your exposure, more specifically as it relates to marketing, you have the ability to kind of teach us South Africans what to expect because you're coming from the future. And I told him, I said, you just made a valid point, because I was sitting here reflecting on how a lot of the issues that I'm hearing about among small business owners are things we've already dealt with over 10 years ago. And he said, exactly, that's what I'm saying. You're coming from the future. So now you can help us deal with some of these problems in a way that we probably would not have, been able to deal with them. So that's what I mean when I say we can teach, right? It's not that we're smarter. It's just that because we are in the West, there are some things, not all things, but there are some things that specifically in business, we're just ahead of the 8 ball.
Yeah.
Now, in contrast, there's a lot of things I've learned since I've been here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But just to answer your question more directly, I definitely see lots of opportunity when it comes to business, where we as Americans can leverage the experiences and the knowledge that we have and bring it here to South Africa.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, King Simon, what is up? King Simon Presents is in our audience. Listening.
What's up, King Simon?
We appreciate you, brother.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Yes. All right. You're absolutely correct, because we are sort of kind of in the future. We also have to remember South Africa within the recent years have changed. They experienced apartheid and a lot of things that held them back. And even though they were experiencing apartheid and we were still experiencing some form of, discrimination here in America, we still had like a little bit of a, head start. Because we still participated in business. We had our businesses. Black people always own businesses. In addition to that, we also was part of the corporate structure. So we were able to, work in corporate, get jobs, understand the workings of money and how capitalism, functions. And maybe we can bring that over to that country. But what I'm afraid of is this: will they become too Americanized if we have an influx of us going over there? That is the scariest thing, because I like culture. But what I see sometimes, like in Mexico, for instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
These mofos going over there to Mexico, acting like it's America. And the Mexicans in some parts of Mexico change their recipes just to meet the white American palate. Because the food is too spicy, the food is too this. So they taking out all the spice. I'm like, no, you don't go over to Mexico and tell them to take out the herbs and spices out of the recipe.
Right.
So that's what I'm afraid of with South Africa. if we go over there, it's enough of us. Are we going to take their culture away from them? Because you know that some people are fascinated with American culture in other countries.
True. It's true. Yeah. I mean, they do look, by the way, South Africans do really revere American culture. But I will say this, South Africa has a very, very rich culture.
Mm-hmm.
They still have tribes and kings and queens, right? Something that we don't have. And because of that, I don't foresee that changing anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I do believe that we will have to integrate and, find some kind of way to assimilate in the culture with them. Um, I will tell you from several different people, friends, a lot of them have said to me, you have to decide how much of our culture you are willing to accept. And that was stated to me more so in the dating department because South Africa is a polygamous country. It is legal to marry multiple people. So several of the guys here have told me straight up, like, it's up to you to decide what parts of our culture you're going to adopt. But at the end of the day, you're going to adopt the culture because we are proudly South African. And I respect that. I
Yeah.
100% respect that.
Sis,
So,
we have a caller in right now. Let's
oh, nice. Okay. Hey, that's
Hello,
what I'm
caller. Where
talking
you
about.
calling from? And introduce yourself.
Great things, great things. This is King Simon from New York.
Hey, King Simon.
How you
What's
doing?
up, King Simon?
We're doing good on this
What up?
Sunday, sir.
That's a good conversation. I was speaking about somebody that a friend of mine. I just sent it to him who do want to visit South Africa, and he's a quite influential friend. I won't mention his name, but I know I sent it to him, so he might be watching. But I know he's always said he wanted to go to South Africa, and I know a few people that have gone there to South Africa, that drummers that I know they performed out there, and I heard some very interesting connection. Isn't Trevor Noah from South Africa?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So I think we can learn from each other. And like you're saying, because we're in the West, we've experienced so much gamut, so much multitude of different things, and we were raised a certain way in the Western Hemisphere that we can teach them stuff, but they can also teach us stuff. And I think we can cross-pollinate cultures if possible, because there's some great people out there in South Africa. And, I think Hugh Masekela was from out there. And, of course, we had Maria Lloyd, a lot of great people that they used to come and perform at SOBs back in the days, and I got to see one of them. I didn't get to see Marion, but I just get to see. But I think especially with the music and how they speak and how they carry themselves, and even the way they learned the language in the Chadwick Boseman movie, the Black Panther, that guy was from South Africa too, that learned the click system and how important it was to understand how to.
Yeah.
They're talking.
Yeah.
So it's a powerful symbolism, but of connection if we learn to get back into our authentic tones, other than speaking the English language, know the tones that are coming out of there, because those are even highly heavy frequencies that we can also make our meditation with and learn how to make those. But I know it would be a great connection, because I've seen many people come back and forth for many years, since the 80s. They're going back and forth because, Stokely Carmichael used to deal with Miriam Makeba back in the day too. So and he's from Trinidad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, there's a whole history of that happening. Even what's her name wanted to go to South Africa, but South Africa and certain other parts of Africa. What's the sister that just passed on in Cuba?
Assata
Shakur.
Assata Shakur wanted to go to Africa, but they couldn't. They didn't have enough protection. It's a shame that big South Africa and Africa couldn't protect her as much as Cuba can, who's smaller, because they had the protocols on how to protect her through Castro, who loved the Black movement and the militant movement over here in America. So, my great grandfather was also a chef of Castro too. So my aunt was telling me a lot of stuff about Castro and Raul, and it wasn't even Castro that was the main influence of that. It was really his brother Raul. So,
oh, wow. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Raul was the man who brought it to Castro, and Castro became the Leo mouthpiece because he's a Leo. He put him and Queen of Four born the same day. So it's deep. So, I mean, it's wild. But I'm glad the conversation, and I did send it to my friend to check it out. Hopefully he'll watch it and get a chance, but I know he's an influencer. He definitely want to go South Africa.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. We appreciate
I hope he joins.
So much.
And thank you for sharing with your friend. I hope he joins us.
No problem, Sister Lloyd. You take care. All right.
You too. Thank you.
That was cool. I love that. I love that. Yeah, Brother Simon, he's the one who told me that our American language, because I'm all about the frequency. I done transformed a billion times over.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm not gonna front. You was part of my transformation, right?
Me?
Yup.
Little me?
I gotta hand it to you. Because remember one day we were talking and we were talking about atheism and things like that and religion, and you just made me think outside the box. I was so still programmed with religion when we first met. It was disgusting. But you made me think outside the box. Yeah.
Wow. No, I did not know that. Wow. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Heck yeah. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Like, that's why I always told you, you are a big circle in this square world. I always told you are a circle in this square ass world.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it sometimes. It's a heavy burden.
Yeah, I know. But anywho.
No, thank you for that. I didn't know.
Yeah. So he told me about frequency and how the American language frequency is so low. And when I think about the South, it is. When I think about the South African language and how they click, their tongue. I remember there was a movie that was so popular in the 80s. I think it may have came out in the 70s, but it dealt with like a South African tribe, and they find like this bottle, and they felt like the bottle came out of the sky from God. And then, I just remember watching that movie and hearing that, and I thought that was like music. I said, oh my gosh, they talk like they're singing almost. It's just so beautiful. And your frequency goes higher because you're listening to that. So yeah, we have another question.
Amazing.
We have Victor in the house. Victor.
Victor, what's up, Victor? Of course. Oh my gosh, Victor, thank you for the questions. Good to hear from you. It's been forever. So Victor asked, could you explain more about the structure of local government there and its impact in South Africa's municipal communities? I'm not even gonna lie, Victor, I think this one is a little bit deeper than where I am in my process of moving. I've been traveling to this country. My first time here was 2015. And then I came back in 2017. And then I was away for quite a while. I came back in 2024. And then in last year, 2025, I was here 3 times. I am going to explain the structure of government as best as I can, Victor. But again, I will admit, I've only been living here now since December of 2025. And even then I've had to, it hasn't been like a consistent kind of, I've had to travel around and stuff. But to my understanding, South Africa has 9 provinces. So there's the national government, and then there's the local government within each province. So kind of like how in the United States, we've got the United States, which is the country, it's the national government, the federal government. And then each state has its own governor. And then each state has, each city within that state has its own mayor and all of this kind of stuff. So I know you specifically asked about local government. So there is a mayor in the cities. There are mayors. I don't know if there are like city council members and stuff like that. I'm not sure. South Africa has a very complex government structure. Even South Africans are confused by it. And when they explain it to me, they oftentimes say, I know this sounds very confusing. Like we have the ANC, we got they've got it's not easy. But Victor, I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to your question. I just shared my limited knowledge. I know each province You know what? I don't even know if each province has what would be equivalent to in the states, how every state has a governor. I don't even know if that exists at the provincial level, but I do know for sure that cities have mayors because I know someone who is close to the mayor of Johannesburg. So I do know that that exists, but I'm not sure how the local government and the cities operate. I'm not sure. I don't know if they have a city council. I'm just not sure. So I'm sorry that I don't know that. Oh, thank you, Victor. Thank you. Thank you. Victor said, I'm so proud of you, by the way.
Yeah,
And
we
listen, the feelings are
appreciate
mutual.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, man. Well,
that's our
everybody,
writing partner there, Victor Trammell. In the
exactly.
house.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Thank you so much
his
for the
name is
question,
Thug
Victor.
Law. That's Thug Law.
I
The reason
love
I
it.
call him Thug Law is because Victor, he'll come out for you if you need for him to.
No, that's true. I already know.
Yeah,
Victor don't play no games,
you know, Victor got
man.
our backs.
Right, exactly. Nah, for real. That's a good brother though, for real. That's a
Yeah.
good brother.
Yeah. He said, I'm sure they have more than 2 political parties. And I'm pretty sure too. That's something that we may have to touch on again. I would like to have you back on the
Yeah.
show again to talk about the politics.
The
Once you get
politics.
a little bit more, knowledge
Yeah.
on the workings of that. Because
Yes.
sis, I'm telling you, that is a really big, important thing in some Black Americans, cipher. They want to make sure that anywhere they're moving to, they'll have a say so. Because if you're,
Mhm.
if you can't participate in politics, then how can you participate fully in the society that you're moving to? It's the same as in
Right.
America.
Well, and that's why I was saying, I think that we have to, I would encourage anyone who feels that way as if like they're powerless or voiceless for not being able to vote. I want to challenge them to expand their horizons in terms of like political engagement because a vote is one thing, but there are so many other ways to evoke change, right?
Mhm.
And again, as I mentioned earlier, one way that you can do that, you can still be very much actively engaged in the community. I mean, as I mentioned previously, I am a contingency voter. What is a contingency voter? That means that I am someone who only votes based on the contingency of the quality of the candidates. If I don't think either candidate is worth their weight, I'm not voting.
Mhm.
So, for example, when Biden and Trump ran against each other, I abstained from voting, not because I'm lazy or I'm stupid, but because I don't like either. I didn't like either president. I didn't think either one was adequate or fit to lead the country. I know that some people say a no vote is a vote. I strongly disagree with that. I'm not sure where we get this notion that by voting, like that is the only way that you can evoke change. And again, that's just not true. If we look at the history of movements around the world, it's not happened just from a vote alone. It's happened from the grassroots movements. That's where the change really starts to happen. It doesn't mean that the changes
Programming.
don't exactly. And it
Because
doesn't mean
I'm
Mhm.
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What you gonna say?
I was just going to say it's just programming because in America, Black people are scared into voting, saying our ancestors died. If you don't vote, you're doing your ancestors a disservice. So it's always in the back of our heads that we have to vote. We have to vote. That's the only way for us to gain some type of leverage anywhere is to vote. And I personally don't agree with that at all. No.
No.
But that's why to some people it's so important. That's, and I've been hearing this in certain conversations with expats,
I mean, I respect it. I respect the sentiments, especially as a Black American, where we know our ancestors were assassinated in the pursuit of voting, right?
Mhm.
What I would say is that the narratives that aren't shared, which I think is very intentional, are the narratives about W.E.B. Du Bois, who famously said, "May God write us down as asses if ever again we put our trust in the Democratic or Republican Party." This is something that is
Whoa.
not shared. And the thing
Yeah.
is, a lot of people don't realize W.E.B. Du Bois went from being a huge advocate of voting to a staunch critic of it. He literally did a 180.
Mhm.
And it was because I remember one of the last essays he left wrote before he left the United States. He said, he just admitted, like, this system is corrupt at its core. There is not enough votes we can cast to change the system. So I'm out. And he left and went to Ghana. For those of you who are aware, W.E.B. Du Bois passed away in Ghana. He left the United States. He said you can't vote enough to change the system. And he bounced. Another historical giant who gets left out of this conversation about voting is Malcolm X. Malcolm X, in his famous speech titled Ballot or Bullet, he famously said, your ballot is a bullet and you don't shoot without a target. Now, I'm paraphrasing, of course.
Right.
But the premise of the speech was, you don't just blindly vote just for the sake of voting, which is what oftentimes happens. It's like, oh, okay, so why are you voting? Oh, well, our ancestors died or were killed for us to vote. Okay, but they were killed for a lot of other things too, you know?
Yeah.
So why are we always kind of like, we have to face gaslighting when it comes to voting? And it just seems so convenient that is like the one thing that we're constantly pressured to do. You got to vote, you got to vote, you got to vote. So going back to Malcolm's quote in his speech, Ballot or the Bullet, he made it very clear. You don't cast your vote unless you have a target, unless you know that this candidate is for you and your pursuit of freedom or whatever it is that you need. So I just want to conclude on the political note. If you are listening to this and you are concerned that by leaving the United States and moving to another country, you won't be able to politically engage on issues, I just want to let you know that is not true. You can still be a part of movements. No, you will not be able to vote. That is true, unless you become a citizen of that country. But, you can definitely engage politically. You can definitely be a part of grassroots movements. You can definitely volunteer your time to push forth initiatives that are beneficial to the community. So don't limit yourself in that way. Don't limit yourself.
Can we build wealth? And I'm talking about true wealth that we can pass on down to our children in South Africa.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's an easy one. Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, this country, this is one of the most developed nations in the entire continent of Africa. There are so many companies from the West that are coming here and setting up shop. For example, Visa just opened their first African-based headquarters in Johannesburg, South Africa. They have committed to spending, if I'm not mistaken, $1 billion, not rands, which is the local currency here, $1 billion in South Africa, and then another billion or so just throughout the continent. But that's just one example. Heineken is a brand that's really big in South Africa. My point in bringing up these, major corporations is to say that in terms of infrastructure, there is no country on this continent that can compete with South Africa as it relates to infrastructure. This country has the most advanced infrastructure in the entire continent. When it comes to technology, South Africa leads in terms of, being innovative. And when it comes to upward mobility, South Africa is showing promising signs of upward mobility for people. So there are so many things that this country has to offer, but yet there's still so many gaps that can be filled. And so if you come here with an open mind and you really get to know the natives, you really get to understand some of the pain points that they're facing, this is like a field day for somebody coming from the West who is willing to just kind of learn and observe and then present a solution to a problem. Mm-hmm. So I would say the answer to that question is absolutely yes. You can definitely build wealth in South Africa. You can build generational wealth in this country. It is poised for that kind of innovative, mindset, that hustle mindset. This country is so perfect for that.
I love it. I love it. All right, so let's talk about. We're gonna talk a little bit on the downside because we was talking about the upside. Let's talk about the downside.
Yes.
Okay. What are the
Yes.
downsides of relocating, girl? Like seriously, like, and I know you just had some beef with the Airbnbs out there.
Ooh.
You want
Yeah, I
to talk
mean,
about it?
let's talk about it.
All right.
You know, yeah, I mean, I've been using Airbnb for over 10 years and I've used it in several different countries. By far, South Africa has been the worst country that I've ever used Airbnb in. And it's crazy
Awesome.
because I love South Africa. It's one of my favorite countries in the world. Top three for sure. And yeah, it's just strange for whatever reason. I think that because the country is growing so fast, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that the native host know how to host people.
Got you.
And
Yeah.
so I think therein lies the issue. And then when you stack foreigner on top of that, so it's one thing to be a host to another South African. Just like as an American, I just shared with you, my cousins just left from visiting me from Chicago. They just left my place, right? Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
know how to host my people, right? I know what the expectations are as Americans. They come over, want something to drink, want something to eat. But when it comes to foreigners, that's a different story. And I think that what is missing in this country, and this might present a business opportunity for someone who's listening, is the proper training of South African Airbnb hosts to teach them how to be a good host to a foreign person. So, really quickly, what occurred with the drama that I recently shared on my YouTube channel in terms of Airbnb is I stayed at this property. I was supposed to be there for 8 days, I think, definitely no less than 7, but I know
Mm-hmm.
it was somewhere 7 or 8 days. And when I was there, so electricity is prepaid in South Africa, and that's not something I'm used to at all. And so I heard some beeping sounds and I messaged the host. I'm like, what is this beeping? I'm looking at this meter thing. It says whatever, kilohertz or whatever the terminology is, or the metric to measure electricity,
Mm-hmm.
kilowatts, whatever. And I'm like, what does this mean? Like it's at this number now. So I'm assuming if it goes to 0, then that means there's no electricity. So the co-host responded and said, hey, it just means that I need to get you a token to top up the electricity. I've never heard the phrase top up. Don't have a clue
Yeah.
what that means. You talking about tokens. I don't understand. So I
Right.
responded. I thanked them for their response. And then I said, could you let me know what all of this means? I'm sorry, I'm ignorant when it comes to the way things are done here. Where I'm from, we don't prepay for electricity. And I also said, like, if you would just kindly let me know how all of this works, so then I can make an informed decision as to whether or not I want to stay here. Because one thing I had forgotten when I booked this unit is I did read somewhere where someone who had stayed there was complaining about the fact that this particular host would charge people electricity. And they felt that that was like unethical, like that's stupid, which I agree. I mean, this is short-term living. I shouldn't be burdened with your bills. Like
Right.
that's crazy.
Exactly.
So I remembered seeing that and I was thinking to myself, yeah, I'm not paying nobody's electricity bill. Like I literally leave about this joint before I do that. I just think that's too petty and cheap.
Yeah.
And the host, when she saw me inquire about that, I guess she got annoyed that I dared to ask a question. And like, I guess she just got annoyed by the whole thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so she basically was like, well, did you see that, my co-host said that there is a charge? I mean, she went in. And of course I have a whole like 30-minute video talking about, and I actually show you screenshots of the dialogue. So that way you guys can tell me if I'm the a-hole in the situation, because I'm willing to learn. I have no problem being called out. If I said something wrong or whatever, I want to
Mm-hmm.
know so I can grow and evolve. But I just felt this person was really nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a bit of a back and forth, and she falsely accused me of saying something I didn't say. It was so obvious, it's in black and white. You can't say I said it because you don't have proof. So at the end of it all, she finally just answered the question. and then stated exactly what I assumed. Yes, there is a fee for this. That's all you had to do.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
could have skipped the whole back and forth if you would have just answered the question from the onset and said, in fact, there is a fee.
Right.
So, I would say in terms of challenges, this will come. I don't think the challenges that I'm going to mention are necessarily unique to South Africa, although maybe one will be. I'm going to talk about dating and stuff in South Africa. I think one challenge would be understanding that, again, polygamy is not like this bad thing. Or I know as of late in the States, polygamy is it's almost like a fetish sort of thing
It is
now,
a fetish in this
almost
state.
trendy,
Mhm.
whereas over here it has significance. It actually has value. It's not trivial. It's not about being able to have sex with multiple people. It actually has real meaning. First and foremost, you don't have your wives staying in the same household. So that already cancels out the nonsense so-called polygamy we see in the States. That's
Yeah, it's just
silliness.
yeah.
Yeah, that's tacky. They have totally different homes. Secondly, you so obviously with that being said, you got to have some money. You can't just be a regular Joe and you have these, multiple spouses and you got to take care of each household and then you making like little no. You have to be a man of means. That's another thing. And the third thing is that, again, there's cultural relevance to all of this. It's not just like a fad. It's not something that sounds cute or seems exotic. This is a real thing. And people who were raised in polygamous households, believe it or not, oftentimes do not want a polygamous relationship because it bears a lot of responsibility. Again, we're talking
Mhm.
about managing multiple households. So this one man is responsible for all the bills at both households. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So that's why I said you've got to be a man of means, and you can't treat this like it's some kind of fad, like it's treated in the States.
Yeah, because
This
in
is
the
a
States,
real
a lot of
thing.
polygamists, the men, they don't have no money. And
Exactly.
basically the women are the ones going out working and paying the bills.
Exactly. Which
So you're
hence
right,
the
it is
reason
a
why
fetish and it's misused.
it's misused for sure. I mean, and that's what I was about to say. Hence the reason why you find that these men will have their women living in the same house. That's
Mhm.
tacky. Who does
Yeah.
that?
Like
That
all on top
breeds
of each other, their
jealousy.
kids on top of each other. And then
It's
it's gonna
disgusting.
breed a whole bunch of like issues and just
Exactly.
oh, oh, I
It's
can't. I
disgusting.
can't.
Yeah.
Girl, I can't even accept myself on some days. So just imagine me trying to accept another woman in my house.
That's what I'm
That's a hell
saying.
to the no.
It gives me the ick. It really does. It gives me
Yeah,
the ick. It's like disgusting to me.
yeah, I'm
So,
with you. I
yeah,
mean,
I
would
think
you?
that
I don't mean to be in your business, but you'll tell me off
mhm.
screen. But if I can ask you, would you date someone who is a polygamist, or would like for you to become first or second wife?
uh
And know what
I
you had
think
all the
that
money, girl.
yeah, I mean, I always say everybody has a price. He would have to be a really exceptional individual for me to consider something like that. And even still, I just don't know if I want to deal with the complexities of it all.
Hmm.
There are different responsibilities. That's another thing. It's not just I have two wives and then no, it comes with rules. And like the first wife has more, weight than the second wife, and the second wife has more weight than so it's a system to this whole thing. And so for me, being that I wasn't raised in that sort of environment, I don't know if that's a system that I'm even willing to deal with. I don't think
Hmm.
that's something I want to deal with. But again, I won't say never. I just feel like I'm at a stage in my life where personally, I don't see how polygamy is going to benefit me in this situation, no matter how wealthy the guy is. I know how I am. I'm very selfish when it comes
Yeah.
to someone that I love. I want to be with my guy. And so for me to have to share him with someone else, I think would be very problematic, no matter how wealthy he is. Now, if I just don't like the guy, I don't care about him, that's one thing. But then why would I put myself in a position to even share my energy in that way where it's so transactional to the point where I don't even like this individual as a person, and I'm choosing to align myself with them in marriage. So I would say that if if something like that offends you, like having conversations about polygamy, or if you're a guy, and for the guys, for example, you've got to understand that you have to pay a salary. South African women are not dating you. Like, it's so funny to me when I hear men talk about women being gold diggers and like, it's so transactional. You will find in a lot of these African countries, sweetheart, you're not going to get on a date unless you're paying this woman a salary. Once you all become official, you're going to pay her a monthly salary. And then on top of that, when you're ready to take things to the next level and you want to marry her, now you've got to pay the dowry. I hope I'm saying that right. I always mess that word up. So there's a whole process, and this stuff costs money. It costs money to be in a relationship. So, if you're a guy and you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna get me a beautiful, Osa woman or dowry. Thank you, King Simon. Or get you a beautiful Zulu woman or whatever. My point is, know that that's going to come with a cost. They're not going to just date you because they think you're cute. You have to pay a salary. Yeah, that's an expectation.
Show me the money, honey.
Exactly. Seriously. And then aside from the dating aspect of it, I think just your normal challenges, like opening a bank can be. I went through a lot to just open a simple bank account. Even paying the light, prepaying for light, for the electricity. That was a challenge because that's here, scary. Yeah.
Because you could literally forget to re-up or, your card, whatever that thing you use, and you'll be sitting in the dark.
Yeah, for real. Like it's wild.
Like
over here, crazy. The electricity bill is topped up, which basically means prepaid. Yeah, top up is what they say. But anyway, it's prepaid by way of the grocery store. So when you're checking out at your groceries, you can pay for your prepay for your electricity there. You can prepay for your electricity through your banking app, or you can do it online. But I learned the hard way that if your debit card is not issued by a South African bank, it's a no-go. They will only accept South African issued debit cards, which absolutely blew my mind. I'm like, what does it matter if my freaking debit card was issued in the United States? Who cares? It's a freaking debit card. But no, they have all these restrictions. So that can be a challenge. Trying to pay your utility bills can be a bit of a challenge. Like I said, opening a bank account is definitely a challenge. And like I said, this is not unique to South Africa. I mean, if I would have moved to France, I would have faced the same obstacles. So I just want to be very clear here. This is not me just saying it's unique to South Africa. But aside from those things, I would say just really getting used to the culture in general. I mean, the thing that's really unique about this country is there are 12 official languages, with sign language being the 12th language. And the challenge, so at first when I came here, I said, okay, I'm just going to learn Zulu. I'll be good. Then I got here and I started realizing they mix their languages. Like literally, they might start in Zulu, then it switches to Xhosa, and then it goes to, like they will speak 4 languages in 2 sentences. And I'm like, so is it even worth my time to be learning Zulu when I started speaking in Zulu and then this person is switched up and they speaking in a whole nother. So I will say that's a challenge, but it's equally fascinating. Like, I think that is this continent's superpower. The fact that these people speak on average about 4 to 5 languages blows my mind. Here it is. I've been learning Spanish since I was in middle school, high school, never, reached fluency. Mm-hmm. And then in my adult years, started learning French, speak French pretty well, read and write in French very well. But still, when I have to switch over to French, it's a challenge. I mean, I have to literally turn something off in my brain and then go into French mode. These people, they flow in and out of languages like it's nothing. I talk to my South African friends, we're speaking in English, and just like that, they're speaking a whole nother language. And in that language, it's like 4 or 5 other languages. So it's a superpower. I respect them so much for that. I mean, I really wish I had that. I don't have it. But I think that's their superpower, is that they can just flow in and out of languages like it's nothing. But
Yeah.
as a foreigner, that definitely presents some challenges. It's like, man, how can I learn the language? I mean, I don't, doesn't make sense to learn any language at this point, because you guys are just speaking so many languages in one sentence. It doesn't even make sense. So I will say that that's probably a challenge that's very unique to South Africa in particular, is because these people have the superpower of speaking, 5, 6, 7 languages. And outside of that, I mean, the weather here is beautiful. The food is incredible. Yeah, I can't think of, how can I forget this? They
Right.
drive on the other side of the road.
Oh, they
Ooh.
do. Oh goodness, okay.
Oh man, that
Ah,
one, yeah, that one freaks me out.
their
I
wheel
still
is
haven't
also
gotten
on the
used
other
to
side
it.
as well.
Yeah, it
Oh yeah,
is. Yeah,
yeah.
it's different. That's I can't believe I forgot that. Yeah,
European countries and Caribbean countries are the same way.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
France isn't like that.
Oh yeah,
France,
that's right. Yes, it isn't. Yeah.
it's the British countries, the countries that were colonized by the British. So,
Yeah, because
yeah,
when I was
that's
in
a
the Caribbean,
challenge.
girl, listen, my saving grace was this. I was in the Caribbean when everything was off season. It wasn't, no people was there because it wasn't in season. And secondly, I was driving around when everybody was at work. So I made a lot of mistakes at the beginning.
Man, I'm telling you.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I could have killed myself because I made a lot of mistakes driving while cars are on coming. I'm like, no, I gotta be on the other side.
I'm
It
telling
was
you.
nerve-wracking at
It's
first.
not
Then I
easy.
calmed down and got in the flow of the energy there, and I was okay. Yeah. I
Yeah.
can imagine that's nerve-wracking. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to I'm not there yet, but I'll get used to it. And the
Yeah.
last thing I'll say is a challenge is they do use a totally different metric system. So they don't
Okay.
measure in pounds, they measure in kilo. They
Kilos, yeah.
don't measure the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. It's in Celsius. So,
Mhm.
that kind of thing, it takes some getting used to. I'm
Yeah.
still saying miles. I'm still saying acres. I'm still
Yeah.
saying 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And I would say that that's a challenge. But, again, these are things that are not necessarily unique to South Africa. These are just your normal annoyances and challenges when you're a foreigner anywhere.
Right,
So,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. The visa process, I'm sorry, this is the last one for real.
Mhm.
I will say though, the visa process is a huge challenge. The immigration department here is, I I don't want to be critical because I need them.
Mhm,
But if
mhm,
I had
mhm.
to be honest, I would have to say it's very inefficient. And what has happened is, unfortunately, a black market has been created to make up for the inefficiencies of the government. And that has posed a serious problem because now you've got all these bad actors
Yeah,
posing as
scammers.
attorneys. Yeah, and they're stealing thousands of rand. I mean, I have friends who've literally spent 40,000 rand, 40,000 rand. Let me just do the conversion real quick. I guess that could be another challenge too. You have to kind of remember the conversion. So
Mhm.
40,000 rand is about $2,360, right? So, but
Wow.
40,000 rand, I mean, that's a lot of money for the average person. So I don't want to trivialize it because it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I've had friends who've had that money stolen from them from people who were purporting themselves as attorneys and saying, "Hey, I can help you with your visa situation."
Mhm.
And I'm sorry, I was looking at this. Okay. So anyway, I'm sorry.
Mhm. It's okay.
I
Mhm.
saw a notice from my bank as we're talking in my South African bank. I'm like, what's going on over there?
You got some money
So,
in, girl.
right, exactly. So, with that being said, yeah, these bad actors are stealing money from people who want to do the right thing. They want to become legal in this country, but because of the inefficiencies with the immigration office, with the government, they are trying to leverage other levers, if you will, to help them get in. And these people are scamming them. And I mean, that's a huge problem. It is big. That's a big problem. I know several people who have been scammed. And it's
Yeah,
so sad because, again, this country has an issue with illegal immigrants, just like the United States. But again, I think the problem is not that the people that come here are purposely coming here as illegal immigrants and wanting to commit crimes. The problem is that they come here with the intention of becoming legal, and the system is so broken that they get scammed and discouraged, and then they are over here illegally.
that's so sad. That
It
is so
is, yeah. So that's probably, honestly, probably the toughest thing for me to deal with as an
sad.
immigrant is like how the system is very inefficient and the black market is thriving as a result.
That is sick. There's so much more
Yeah.
to discuss, and I know we are on a time constraint, but let's talk about the trip now. Tell us all about, or give us all the juicy details
Yay.
about this trip that's coming up.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, Black with No Chaser, we just wrapped up our 2026 group tour in South Africa. And so now we are ramping up efforts for the 2027 group tour. I'm going to just quickly kind of go over the itinerary. So
Please
I'm
do.
going to
That's
pull
just
up
what I
my
want you
phone
to do.
here just to make sure I don't miss anything.
And
So the
also, do you
dates.
foresee this being like something that you're going to do indefinitely from now
Oh
on?
yeah. Oh yeah. We don't
Okay,
see any reason
that's
why.
what's up.
And we actually are going to expand and go beyond South Africa because again, the continent has so much potential. You may or may not be aware that the country of Benin, for those who speak French, is giving Black America or people from the diaspora the opportunity to get a full-blown passport if you can prove through one of these DNA ancestry tests or whatever that your roots are from Africa, which that's going to be the case for
Yeah,
99.9% of Black Americans.
right.
So, with that being said, there are so many amazing things that are happening across the continent. As great as South Africa is, we know that it may not be some people's cup of tea. So we want to take them to other countries as well. We don't want to focus on the ones that everybody go to, like no shade against Ghana, obviously. I love Ghana. I've never been there, but I'm saying I love them for what they stand for. And the year
Mhm.
of return, I thought was a great marketing thing and, whatever. But I don't necessarily want to focus on Ghana. I want us to go beyond that. That's why I said Benin, I think, is a pretty cool country to visit, given the fact that they aren't acknowledging those of us from the diaspora and saying, look, if you can prove that you're one of us, we're going to adopt you as such, and we're going to give you citizenship. So when you
Correct.
talked about that voting piece, here we go. Here's
Yeah.
a country, an African country in West Africa, literally saying to you, we're going to give you citizenship. And the singer Sierra actually took advantage of that program, and she has a Benin passport.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity on the continent. And if I'm being completely honest, I think that we're going to see more African countries say, hey, Black folks from throughout the diaspora, come home and we'll award you citizenship as a result. So,
Girl, you know they have a synagogue. Give us the hookup. You already
I
know I'm there
know. Woo, I
for the
know,
chicken
seriously.
too.
I know, for real. I'm waiting on South
Love
Africa
the
to get on
food.
board. Right. Oh, the food. Oh my gosh. Senegalese food is
It's off the
chef's kiss.
hook. People
It's
don't
the best.
know.
Yeah, it's the
If you
best.
have a
Seriously.
Senegalese friend or a Senegalese restaurant near you, please go visit. They have the
Exactly.
best food ever. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
think they have the best food out of the whole
No, I think they do
entire
too.
continent of
I think
Africa.
so too. I have to agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
Senegal is home of jollof rice. That's where jollof rice originated. And I
Yeah.
actually, this is how much of a nerd and big bag I am. I watched the
I'm a
whole
big bag too,
documentary.
girl.
I watched the whole documentary on how jollof is made in Senegal, and I was like, this is literally art. Like,
Oh,
do you know
wow.
how much time and how many ingredients goes into it? Like, I'm sitting there with my little pen and paper thinking I'm about to write down the recipe. I'm about 30 minutes into the documentary. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm just gonna have to go ahead and, lean on my Senegalese family to cook
You know
this
I
for me
can make
because
a
it's
good
no
jollof
way.
rice. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know that. Don't tease me with a good time.
One of my friends said I made the best jollof rice he has ever had in his life. And he's Nigerian. So, that's big in their culture as well,
True, it
too.
is.
But he said my
Whoa.
jollof rice crushed every jollof rice he has ever had in his entire life.
Go on, sis. Hey, you gonna have to put me on. I might need that
I'm gonna
recipe
put
for
you onto
real.
it. I'm gonna
I'm
put you onto it.
serious because I love me some. I can eat jollof. Listen.
And you know
I
why?
love
Because I put
jollof
a little bit
rice.
of my Latin flavor in there too. You know what I'm saying? Along with
Oh
my West
wow.
Indian flavor with it. So yeah, there's a secret. I'll show you.
Okay, no, thank you. I
It's going to bring
appreciate
the
that for
boys to the
real.
yard, girl. It's going to bring the boys to the yard. You're
Look,
going
I
to be
don't
married.
need them
You're going to have my
problems.
grandkids I've been asking for the last 10 years. Okay.
Ooh, look, I don't need them problems. Well, see, I got me a little special somebody, you know, but we ain't gonna talk about
Thank
that
you,
on this
girl.
call.
About time. I've been waiting for that.
So,
Okay, tell us about the itinerary. We'll talk about that.
Okay. Yes, we'll talk about that offline.
Yes,
So, the 2027 Black with No Chaser group tour in South Africa, first and foremost, is going to kick off on January the 18th. Is when the group is going to depart from the United States over to South Africa. And there are a couple of airlines that offer a direct flight. Just to let you all know, that direct flight, which means it's nonstop, no layovers, is 15 hours one way. So you're gonna be on that plane for a very long time.
What are the exact dates? 18th through the what?
The 18th through the 29th. So you will depart from South Africa on the 29th. You will land in the United States on January the 30th. My apologies, I didn't say the month. So the official dates are January the 18th through the 29th, exactly, of 2027. So when you land in South Africa on the 19th of January 2027, which is a Tuesday, we are going to have a welcome reception at the hotel. This hotel, just to let you all know, was very, very, very much appreciated by our group. The first night when they checked in, we created a WhatsApp group for each one of our travel groups, and everybody was like, "Yo, you guys killed it with this hotel selection." So I'm not going to say the name of the hotel because you need to be on board with us. But the point is, it's a really nice hotel. So we check in at the hotel. We have a welcome reception there, and then we will go to. We're going to do a cultural tour on the second day, which will be the 20th of January. On the third day that you're in the country, which is the 21st of January, 2027, this is when we have those two Black with No Chaser curated events. So we'll have that traditional ceremony with His Royal Heritage 𝘽𝙧 𝘾𝙝, and then we will also have that networking soiree. And then on the fourth day, we will go to Soweto, which is where actually Winnie Mandela is from there, my Shiro. And do some great activities on that day in Soweto. On day 5, which is Saturday, January 23rd, we're going to do the safari, and then we'll have a free night. So if we want to hit up the club, like this group, took a handful of them to the club, had a beautiful time. The nightlife in Johannesburg is unmatched. Some of the best nightlife you'll experience. And I do not do clubs, but I do clubs here, if that makes sense. Yeah, because it's
I
nice.
know it has to be lit if you do a club.
Oh, it's amazing. Right, exactly, right? So, you got amapiano, which is, South African genre, is basically house music mixed with the African flair. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. It's some of the best music you'll ever hear. So that's on the 23rd of January. And then day 6, we do an African spa day. And let me tell you, this is a spa experience like no other. You are there from 8 in the morning until about 5 o'clock in the evening. So, I mean, it's like that.
Down from the roots to the tutors.
For sure. And I'm saying literally, yes. Yeah, that ain't no joke. That was a beautiful experience. I think when we did our survey, when we surveyed our group that just left in January of 2026 of this year, I want to say almost all of them said that this particular day was like their favorite day, that spa. So yeah, we had to keep that. Day 7, which is January the 25th of 2027, is actually when we fly to South Africa. We're going to go and learn about African gems in this country that are unique to the country. And then we're going to have a welcome reception at our hotel in Cape Town. And then later that night, we will enjoy Table Mountain, which, as much as I've been to this country prior to 2026, when I was here with the group, Table Mountain is so majestic. You almost feel like you're on another planet, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's one of the most, man, I'm telling you, when you're on top of that mountain, something just, it does something to you. It really
No,
does.
I know. I went to when I was in Antigua this past summer, and I went to this place, Shirley Heights, and it's on top of. It's like overlook everything. I
Yep.
cried. I just cried. I just cried.
Yes.
I was like,
Yeah.
look, just look at the universe. Look at the earth. Look at it's just so beautiful. I just
It
cried.
is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And
breathtaking.
then that's what Cape Town's Table Mountain would do to you too. You know, to be just to look at nature in such a way, and then to feel the wind and just it's like, man, that experience is just crazy. Like it's,
Yeah, it takes your
yeah,
breath
you,
away.
it does, seriously. So yeah, it sounds like you had a hint of that when you
Yeah,
were
it did.
in Antigua.
Yeah.
But yeah, so day 8, which is January the 26th,
Hmm.
we are going to visit the island where Nelson Mandela was incarcerated and do a city tour. Oh my gosh, that city tour was probably one of my favorite days. And then day 9, we will go to Cape Peninsula. We have a nice dinner. It's like an African themed dinner. And then day 10 is a free day, so people can enjoy the beach. They can go to the mall, do their shopping. Day 11, which will be January 29th, we will go and have a farewell dinner. We'll also visit a Black owned vineyard in Cape Town. Well, it's right outside of Cape Town.
Hmm.
And then on day 12, which is January 29th, we will fly back to Johannesburg, do a little more shopping, and then go to the airport to fly back to the United States.
Yeah.
So if you work for a company, you're asking, and if this company observes Dr. Martin Luther King Day, you're asking for about 9 days off of work. So assuming that you don't work weekends and you also get Dr. King Day off, you're asking for about 9 days off of work. So I would tell you, this group that left in January, wow, it was really powerful. Like, I didn't expect to be so triggered when we dropped them off at the airport. Several of them were crying, by the way, because they didn't want to leave. And it
Yeah.
triggered me so bad because I know exactly how that feels. That's how
I know
I
how they feel
feel.
too. Yeah. When
And
you just don't want to leave. You want to stay forever.
exactly. And
We're so traumatized in this United States. We don't even realize it.
we don't realize the weight of the trauma that we carry with us.
Yeah.
And you know, I was down for about 3 days after they left. I couldn't get myself together emotionally because I felt so bad for them. You know, it's funny, when I planned the trip and I was talking to my business partners in Black with No Chaser, I was just saying to them, like, they kept asking me, "Are you flying back with us?" I was like, "Absolutely not. I'm home. I'm in South Africa. This is home for me." And it was kind of like a joke. You know, it wasn't a joke. I mean, I was serious, but I was saying it in a funny way because I'm just like, hell no, I'm not going back with y'all. Like, go back to what? But it's crazy because, man, did my heart shatter knowing that they had to leave. And then to, you know, add insult to injury, the whole time that the group was in the country, when I tell you the weather was flawless, we had no issues with weather, no rain, never got cold, stunning weather. It was perfect.
Yeah.
The
Awesome.
literally the hour that we dropped them off at the airport, crazy rain to the point where the rain was leaking inside the airport. That's how bad it stormed. It was hailing. When we
Girl, are you
dropped them
serious?
off, it started hailing, it was lightning, it was raining, which just added even more sadness for me because I'm like, I feel like this is, you know, Mother Nature saying, like, we about to weep our children leaving. Like,
That's
y'all
what
got to
it
go
felt
back to
like.
that
Yeah,
hell.
like we're weeping. They're leaving. They should be here. This is home for them.
Exactly. And I get goosebumps every time I talk
Yeah, I
about it
got
because it was
goosebumps
so
now,
heavy.
girl. Yeah,
It
that's
was so heavy. That's
crazy.
why I was down. Like, I'm telling you, I was down for 3 days when they left. I couldn't emotionally, I couldn't get it together. I'm like, man, my heart aches for them because I know what they're going back to, and I know what they're going to miss over here.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because my business partner, my local business partner here, who partnered with us on the tour, who partnered with South Africa, with Black with No Chaser on this tour, he's an award-winning tour guide. And his interpretation of that rain and everything that happened right before they left was totally different. And he said that it was Mother Nature blessing them on their return back home. So it was basically like a thank you for being here. You know, we welcome you. This is home. But,
True.
you know, now we're wishing you well as you go back to the United States. So it was interesting to hear his perspective. But honey, for me, I was like, oh no, Mother Nature does not want to, it don't want y'all to go.
Mother Nature wants them to stay.
And
Could
then
that
on
be
top of
rooted in
that,
our PTSD of always thinking negative?
I'm sure it is. Yeah, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. And yeah, like I said, my heart just broke for them. You know, several of them were crying. It was difficult for me to hug them goodbye because I was like, I'm literally about to break down crying. Like, I don't want to do that to them. But it was really challenging. But I said all of that to say, you know, the survey results that we got were overwhelmingly positive. I mean, when I tell you, we had them rate things on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being, you know, this wasn't worth the money or it was a waste of time, and 5 being it was the greatest experience of my life. I kid you not when I say like 99% of the people said 5 for the experience. They gave it a 5. And to even affirm that more, when we held the interest meeting for the 2027 tour, we got, out of the 22 people who joined us in January of this year, 1, 2, 3, I think 4 of them signed up to join us in 2027. So think about that. These people just left this tour in January of 2026. We haven't really changed much, to be honest. I mean, we made a couple of changes, but the itinerary that I just read to you is pretty much the exact same thing that they just experienced. And on top of that, because they were the first group, they got it at the cheapest rate it will ever be. Now that we kind of know how to make the thing flow, and, you know, we built community here and I'm here, obviously. So now that we have that, we raised the price by $500. These people were willing to pay extra money to join us again and do the same thing they just did this year. So I'm saying that to say that is a testament to just how powerful this trip was for people. This was bigger than just living it up for the gram. This was a life-changing experience for these people, from the networking to the traditional rite of passage ceremony to the camaraderie that occurred on the trip amongst the travelers. There were so many life-changing things that occurred that these people felt compelled to join us again. And some of them have already said they don't care where we go. They're going to be on every single trip. If we go to South Africa 10,000 times, they're going to join us in South Africa 10,000 times.
Oh, so that's wonderful.
You know, it's bigger than just travel. You know, this is what you mentioned very early on in this conversation. This is transformation. We are inviting people to join us on this journey of exploration, right? Exploring South Africa. And if anyone is interested, you can go to veryflylife.com. Again, it's veryflylife.com. We have the webinar that you can listen to from our interest meeting. And so that's that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Veryflylife.com.
Yep, veryflylife.com. You got it.
Got it. So, in closing, Mama, should we leave or should we stay?
I would definitely say that we should leave. Unless you don't want to sorry, trying to send this little message because my little phone blowing up now. So unless you don't want to open yourself to change and trying to understand another culture, I think you should leave. America, it has damaged us in ways that we cannot even begin to quantify. And you don't realize the weight of the pain that we carry until you remove yourself from that environment. And then you realize very quickly that this place has literally, it has in many ways ruined us.
Yeah.
Not permanently. I think that there are some things that are reversible for sure.
Mhm.
But my point is, we carry an extremely heavy weight. This is the happiest I've been in a number of years. I'm not even kidding. People have been saying, "Oh my gosh, you've lost so much weight." Like my cousins who are here from Chicago, first thing she said when she saw me was, "Oh my God, you are like skinny." And you know what's crazy? I'm eating KFC over here almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I haven't been working out. Like I'm thinking to myself, man, when I work out, it's gonna be a wrap for y'all. It's gonna
Okay.
be over with.
Exactly.
I'm taking over for the 99 and 2000. It's over with.
Okay. Look, I
So,
lost like 20 pounds in the Caribbean. I was eating bun and cheese every day. Bun
you
and
see,
cheese.
see,
Okay. With
like,
sweet drinks. You know,
right.
I still lost weight.
I am not eating healthy. I'm not even gonna
Yeah.
front. I'm being honest with y'all. I'm big
Yeah.
backing it up all day,
Yeah.
every day. And I've still lost literally over 20 pounds since I've been here
That is
without
good.
trying. And
Yeah.
that is happiness. That's
Yeah,
what that
it
is.
is.
That is not me trying to lose weight. I'm not trying to eat healthy. I know that sounds awful. But that is pure happiness. And I'm
Yeah.
saying that to say the following: environment matters. When I'm in the United States, I'm constantly bloated. I can eat salads all day, every day. I am constantly bloated.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'm eating real food. Even if it is, again, I've been eating KFC, which is something I'd never eat back in the States. I haven't eaten KFC in well over 10 years in the United States because it's so nasty. But the
Mm-hmm.
KFC here is amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, it's like I'm eating real food,
Yeah.
and it's not pumped up with all these vitamins and this poison. So, yeah, this is the happiest I've been in a very long time. I mean, I'm
Me
like
seeing
truly
you for
happy.
15 years, this is the healthiest I've seen you look in a long
Thank you.
time. Mm-hmm.
Wow. No, thank you for that. Seriously.
Healthiest.
Wow. Yeah, that's deep, for real. That's
Yeah.
deep. Thank you for saying that, sis. Seriously. I really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
it's not just the physical. Mm-mm.
yeah.
The energy
Yeah.
is everything. That's what I'm talking
No,
about. Health.
that's real.
Yep.
That's real. No, I'm like I said, I mean, even with the challenges aside, like this is the happiest I've been in a very long time. And yeah, that's why, going back to leave or stay, if you'll open yourself to something different, you should definitely leave. America is dying, and it's doing so rather quickly. At least it appears to be quickly, but it's been dying for a long time. I've always wanted to leave because I saw the writing on the wall a very long time ago. But yeah, it's dying. You don't want to be on the sunken ship. It's best to get off now before it actually sinks. So that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Leave.
Leave.
If you Black American, get the hell out of there. Seriously, get out of there. The world loves you. People love us.
They do.
They love us.
They do.
I'm not even exaggerating. They love us. They love us here. They love us.
Yeah.
Everywhere I go, people talk about my accent. They love us, and it doesn't mean that they don't. Like I told you earlier, South Africans are very proud of their culture. So this is not an obsession with Americans. They don't want to be American, but they do love us. They love our culture. They love the way we talk. They love the way we dress, the way we carry ourselves. They love it. And I love them. To be honest, I'm a fan. I love South Africans. I love, like I told you earlier, the superpower of speaking 6 languages in one sentence.
That's
wow.
dope.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love their accent too. So, yeah, man, get the hell out of America. Get out of there. Get out of, if you Black American, that place is not for you. It was never meant for us. We were forced there. You don't have to stay. You're not forced anymore. You don't have to stay. You don't have to stay. Get the hell out of there. Just even if you leave for just a little bit, just for a month, even if you leave for just a month, just go to another environment and see. Not everybody's going to like being out of the country. And I respect that. I'm not mad at that. But give yourself the chance to make an informed decision by leaving temporarily, because you deserve that. You deserve that. Our ancestors, as much as people talk about our ancestors being murdered for us to have the right to vote, our ancestors were murdered in the pursuit of freedom, in the pursuit of us having the choice. We have a choice now to leave. Why would you stay? Why would you choose to stay there in a land that hates you?
That
Get
is
out of
true.
there.
Now we have the freedom to leave, where as before, we did not have the freedom to leave.
Exactly.
We
Get
didn't
out of
have the freedom
there.
to leave, but we can leave now.
We can
Yeah.
leave. You can go. So give it a try. Everybody's not going to like it, and I respect that. I'm not mad at it. Give it a try, though. Just give it a try. So yeah, my vote, leave.
I
If you
encourage
Black
every
American,
Black
leave.
American to leave out the country. I don't even care if they go to Mexico. Okay,
Yeah,
go
seriously, just
somewhere.
go.
Yeah, just
Canada.
visit different countries and look at life. Life
Mm-hmm.
be happening in other countries. Life be happening. So, guys, please visit veryflylife.com. Okay, veryflylife.com. And before we leave, sis, can you tell everybody where they can find you on the social media platforms?
Yes, you can connect with me on Facebook. I'm pretty active on Facebook. My, I guess, handle, I know Facebook doesn't really use handles, but it would be facebook.com/Maria Lloyd 24. So that's MariaLloyd 24. So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram as well. My handle on Instagram is Meeting Maria, MEETING. Maria, no spaces or anything. That's my Instagram handle. And then YouTube, I'm also on YouTube. I post content. I actually just started back getting consistent with my content on a weekly basis. And so you can find some good content there. My YouTube handle is Words Are Wealth, which is the title of my book.
Yes,
So
a good
at
book
Words Are
everybody should
Wealth.
get.
Thank you. In fact, let me pull my baby up. This is my legacy right here. This is my legacy.
That's right.
Words Are Wealth. So you can find my YouTube channel under the title of my book, Words Are Wealth. And yeah, I think that about covers it. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all these other platforms, but I would say the ones that I frequent the most are certainly YouTube, YouTube and Facebook. I frequent the most, and then a second close would be Instagram and LinkedIn, and
Got
then TikTok and Twitter and all that stuff.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for coming out. I
Thank
love your
you,
perspective.
sis.
I
Oh, I
appreciate
love you more. Thank you again for sharing your platform with me. And shout out again to King Simon for hopping in and, giving us some great perspectives and sharing the content with his friend. I hope his friend will join us in January 2027. But if not, again, y'all, get the hell up out of America. Even if it's just temporarily, get out of there. Get out. If you Black American, get out of there. Leave for a month and stay somewhere else. Go to Canada, go to Mexico, go to one of the islands. Get the hell out of there. You don't have to stay there. Get out of there. Just
I
leave.
agree.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, sis. And
Thank
guys,
you,
we'll see you
sis.
next time. I'll be back in another hour because we are going live with Sister Sophia talking about metaphysical topics. All right, y'all.
Ooh,
Yes. So thank you. I appreciate you, sis. And
awesome. Thank you, sis. Love you. Love you for
too.
everything. Just thank you for being you. Your awesome self. Thank you.
Thank you.